This is Lauren with Minot Design and IDX Central. Today we're going to be discussing how to use our neighborhood add-on with the iHomefinder Optima Express plugin. First, you're going to want to make sure that you're logged into both the WordPress administrator as well as your Optima Express backend, which should look something similar to what you're seeing here. You also want to make sure that you have any graphics that you're going to use ready to find somewhere on your computer. For instance, we're going to be creating a gallery for each neighborhood, so you want to make sure that you have those images saved somewhere on your computer where you can find them. Before we go ahead and jump in and I start showing you the steps on how to create your first neighborhood, I do want to just briefly show you what a finished example should look like. So ultimately, we're going to end up with a beautiful looking neighborhood page like what you see here, with a title, a description, a gallery of photos, and then also listings that are included from that neighborhood. And optionally, if you have purchased the market report feature as part of your IDX solution, you'll also see that feature present as well. Once we're sure that we're logged into everywhere we need to be logged into and that we have all of the files that we need ready to go, then we're ready to actually go into the back end of WordPress and start creating our first neighborhood. The first step is to get into the back end of your site, which in this case, I'm just simply going to come up here to the top left as I'm logged in, and I'm going to click on Dashboard. Now that I'm into the back end of WordPress, I'm going to navigate to Neighborhoods and Add New. Let's say that our first neighborhood is for Folsom, California. So I'm simply going to type in Folsom as the title. Next, I'm going to go ahead and insert my description of this neighborhood. I can do that by either typing out new text into the WordPress editor, or I can simply copy and paste from somewhere else. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and paste in some prepared Latin text into the content area. So now that I've inserted the basic information into our neighborhood, the next thing we want to look at is adding information into this bottom neighborhood information section. This section will allow us to populate the listings that will appear on the page, as well as the gallery that we'll be building. So next, let's go ahead and create the gallery that we're going to be using for this neighborhood. I do want to point out that if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that there's fields available for both a gallery ID as well as a thumbnail ID. And I'll be showing you how to find these values after we build our first gallery. To build the gallery, let's scroll up a little bit, and we're going to look for the big Add Gallery button that appears above your WordPress editor. So to create our gallery, I'm going to click on Add Gallery. Next, I want to go ahead and click on Add Gallery and/or Images. From here, I'm going to give my gallery a title. So in this case, it's going to be a gallery for Folsom specifically, so I'm going to just simply call it Folsom. Next, I'm going to click on Add Files, and then here it's going to take me into a folder on my computer where I can choose the images that I would like to include in my gallery. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of the images that I'd like to include in my gallery, and then I'm going to simply say Open. Now all of my images are basically in a queue, so the last thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and upload them to the server by clicking on Start Upload. And from here, it's going to take a few seconds for it to go ahead and upload these images. And the amount of time this takes really depends on your connection speed and also the size of your images. Keep in mind that you do want to be slightly optimizing your images prior to uploading them to your website. A good rule of thumb is that your images shouldn't be more than 1 megabyte in file size. And then once it's done, you'll see a little notice that says Upload Complete. And so basically we've just created our gallery, and now we simply need to find those two values for the gallery ID as well as the thumbnail ID. To find these values, I'm simply going to click on Manage Galleries. And here you can see all of the galleries that I have created on my site. I also want to point out that you can see that each gallery has an ID associated with it. So for instance, you can see Folsom, the ID number is 14. So this is actually your gallery ID. And if you need to, go ahead and jot that down on a little notepad so that you don't forget the number 14. You're also going to want to find the thumbnail ID. And to find that, I'm going to go ahead and click on the title for this gallery, which will then show me all of the images contained in that gallery. And for each one, hopefully you're noticing that they also have a unique ID tied to each image. So for instance, if this is the image that I want to use as the main image for this neighborhood, I want to jot down ID 195 for my thumbnail. And when I'm done getting both of those values, both the gallery ID as well as the thumbnail ID, I can go up to the right corner here and simply close that window. Next, I'm going to scroll down to the thumbnail and gallery ID fields, and then I'm going to enter in those values. So for the thumbnail ID, it is 195, and for the gallery, it is simply 14. And once I input those numbers into these fields, I will both populate the gallery that appears on the page as well as the main image that represents that neighborhood on the results page where all of the neighborhoods appear. Now that we've completed that portion of our neighborhood, really the only thing left for us to do is to go ahead and add the listings to the page. To do this portion, again, you will need to be logged in to the back end of the iHomefinder Optima solution. Once you're logged in, you're going to want to create your first market. Markets are essentially listings that appear in a certain neighborhood, price range, or within certain parameters. In this case, I want all listings in Folsom to appear on this neighborhood page. So the first step here is going to be clicking on Markets. Next, I'm going to go ahead and click on Add a Market. Let's give our market a name, and in this case, let's simply call it Folsom Homes for Sale. Next, we're going to choose the type of market this is. So when I click on that drop-down, it's going to give me a bunch of different options on how to create my market. Essentially, the basic MLS search will just give me the basic criteria, so things like city, bedrooms, bathrooms, square feet, etc. The advanced MLS search will give me any of the options that are available after you click on More Options on your search page. So this will include things like subdivisions and other types of criteria that you may not see in your basic MLS search. Polygon search is going to allow me to create an area that I create using a polygon tool. So this is useful if you're trying to target a specific area, but you can't use the other criteria to define it. The advanced polygon search is the same idea, however, it will allow me to choose some of those advanced fields that we were talking about earlier. And then finally, I can also do it through a manual search, which means that I would have to maintain the MLS numbers. So probably for most of you guys, that's going to be a little bit too much maintenance, especially when there are all these other tools that are going to automate this process. So in this case, I know that Folsom is simply just a city for this MLS, so I'm just going to use the basic MLS search. Here, it's going to allow me to choose the criteria that I would like to use. Like I said, I just want to have listings in Folsom, so I'm simply going to type in Folsom and select that, and I'm going to leave all of the other criteria at the default and simply say Save. At this point, if I do have the Market Boost add-on for the IDX solution, I would recommend going into your settings here for this market and scrolling down a little bit to the Market Reports section. Let's go ahead and open that. And then I want to make sure that Display in Navigation is selected for that and save. So now that I've created my market, I can go ahead and go to the back end of my site and add this to my neighborhood. So first, let's go ahead and go again to the back end here of our WordPress site. And I want to scroll up a little bit to get the content area in focus. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my little cursor probably at the end of my content here. And now that I have my little blinking cursor here, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Optima Express shortcode creator, which is this icon right here. All right, so with this little dialog box open, I'm going to go ahead and choose Listing Gallery, because essentially that's what I want to have on the page. I want to have a gallery of all of the listings that appear in Folsom. So here I'm going to select what kind of listing gallery it's going to be, and in this case it is a listing report. Next, it's going to ask me what the market is. So here you can see the new market I created for Folsom Homes for Sale. I'm going to leave all of the other options here at the default, and then finally I'm going to click on Insert. So if you're paying good attention here, you may have noticed that as soon as I did that, this shortcode appeared in my content area. Now I don't want to actually leave this here in my content area because we actually have another space for this to go, but instead I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to delete it out of the content area, and then I'm going to simply paste it down into the listings box. I also want to go ahead and create a headline for this section of my neighborhood. So in this case, I'm going to just type out Folsom Homes for Sale. And essentially, this is simply text that will appear directly above the listings that are appearing on the neighborhood page. And once I've completed all of those steps, I'm going to go ahead and save or publish, depending on whether or not you've been saving as you've been going here. And that's really all there is to creating a neighborhood. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what this looks like on the front end by clicking on the permalink located directly beneath the title. And here we go. So we have this beautiful looking neighborhood page. And again, we have our title, description, a gallery, and we have all of the listings in Folsom appearing directly beneath all of that. So really, that's all there is to creating a neighborhood page using our neighborhood add-on and the Optima Express plugin. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon and/or evening, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact our support team by emailing support@idxcentral.com. Thanks so much and have a great day.